Welcome back to In Focus. Now, if you're thinking of coming to the U.S. on a student visa, it can be a challenge. VOA's Lisa Vora talks to two students who have been through it.
Okay, so you've reached that point in your life when it's time to make a move, time to go to college. There's so much to think about. Where do I want to go to school? What do I want to study? Do I want to go abroad? Well, if you want to go abroad and you think you want to come to the United States, here's what to expect.
I'm going to get into this and involved. And
Meet Joy Spencer and Stephanie Aye. Joy came to the U.S. from Sierra Leone 12 years ago on a student visa. She went to graduate school, received her master's degree, and is now the program director for the International Professional Partnerships for Sierra Leone, a nonprofit group.
I went to an American international school, and so we had a lot of teachers and guidance counselors who would give us advice about suggestions of possible schools we could apply to.
We have to make sure everything in their room is fine.
Stephanie Aye arrived from Ghana a few years ago and just got her bachelor's degree from American University. The first thing she did to prepare for her studies abroad was look for universities that were related to her major.
I decided that I wanted to come to school in the DC area because I wanted to do international relations. You'd start by, of course, applying to the schools, getting information from the U.S. Information Service.
A great place to start your research is AfricanScholar.com, a place for people in the African region to get information about U.S. colleges.
AfricanScholar.com was really set up to fill this gap that exists between students in the Western world and African students. We provide information on entry-level jobs, internships. How do I get a visa? What's student life like over there? What are some of the things I need to watch out for?
Once you've done your research, the next step is to simply apply to the university that interests you. Most universities have the same basic requirements.
For freshman students, we're looking at their high school grades and the courses that they took during high school. Most students who are attending a public education system in Africa take a secondary school exam as they're leaving.
Here's where 90% of the points are lost on exams.
Once you meet the educational requirements by the university, you then have to disclose your financial status before you may receive the necessary forms to apply for your student visa.
It's a non-immigrant visa, so they need to know that you have ties to your home country and that you can pay.
Here at Mason, we require students to submit a certificate of financial responsibility. They don't have to show that they have all 4 years worth of funding, but just that they have a continued source for those 4 years.
Provided you have met your financial obligation, the school gives you what is called an I-20 form. This form documents all of your accepted educational and financial information for the U.S. Embassy. An immigration officer at the embassy then examines your admission papers and will determine if you should be granted a student visa known as an F1 visa.
Very nerve-wracking because they have all these people out there, very intimidating, asking all these questions.
My number one hint for all African students and international students is to be familiar with the university you're applying for, read all of the requirements, pay attention to deadlines, so plan ahead and do your research.
There you have it. A quick peek into the process of getting a student visa in the United States. But it doesn't stop there. Don't forget, things are quite different here in the United States. You might get hit with a little bit of culture shock, something that both Stephanie and Joy have a lot to say about in our next report. And we'll also take you through a day of Stephanie's life as a student. I'm Lisa Vora, VOA News.
And that's all from us. Good night. Welcome back to In Focus. Now, for those of you who watched the show yesterday, Thursday, Lisa Vora walked us through the student visa process. Well, today, she'll share the stories of two young African students who are busy taking classes and living their lives here in the U.S.
Let's start with a quick recap. Both Joy and Stephanie came here on a student visa. Joy has been working a steady job for the last couple of years, and Stephanie just graduated from American University in Washington, D.C.
Getting the visa was just the beginning for Joy and Stephanie. Upon arriving in the United States, as you might expect, they got hit with a little culture shock.
I thought it was cold because I came in January.
Living in the U.S. was very different. A lot of people make a lot of assumptions because you look like you fit in, you sound like you fit in, and then something comes out of your mouth, and then they're like, that makes absolutely no sense.
After weathering the initial shock of being in a different land, Joy and Stephanie eventually settled into their new life.
I met a number of other students who were Nigerian, who had grown up in the States, but their parents were Nigerian. So those students became some of my closer friends.
My second year, I got involved in a number of activities on campus, so that's how I got to know a number of people.
A typical day for Stephanie, who's somewhat health conscious, begins early in the morning with a trip to the gym for a good, honest workout before class.
I would usually start out by just stretching and warming up a bit, and then I would do cardio, so I'll be on the ellipticals, and then I'd come down here and do push-up and plank, and then afterwards I would do some free weights.
And once the blood gets flowing and the mind gets going, she's ready for class.
My schedule in terms of class is pretty light because I just need to take 3 classes to graduate.
First class, French. Parlez-vous français? That's can you speak French? Being in an upper-level French class meant you could not speak English at all. Next, après français, a visit with a professor.
I had to write a paper for my class, and so he's going over everything with me. Just make sure I get an A on the paper, that's it.
Get the tone of the New York Times article. Read it for yourself and see. Stephanie's a very, very good student. She's worked extremely hard.
After talking to her professor, Stephanie has some downtime, giving her a chance to socialize with some friends and take care of some loose ends.
Okay.
Stephanie's also a resident assistant known as an RA, putting her in charge of her floor at her dormitory. Her job, to make sure everyone follows the rules.
I'm a resident assistant, so I have to work a number of hours at the front desk. Transferring right now.
What made you decide to be an RA?
Oh, well, first, housing is free.
Ah!
Which is nice. And then you get a stipend every month, which is nice.
And then you're just eating on the job right now?
Yeah.
Because of her busy schedule, she has to squeeze in her lunch at work.
I got this from down there.
With the day nearly over, Stephanie comes back home to her dorm, checks her voicemail, and then it's time to lay low and hang out with her friend.
Every once in a while, we'll go out or we'll just go over to someone's house and just, hang out and stuff. Oh my God.
Stephanie Aye, the transformation of an African coming to America, taking on the challenge of fitting into a new and distant culture, getting her education, and making a life for herself. I'm Lisa Vora, VOA News.
Well, that's it for today. You can watch In Focus on our website at voaafrica.com. And of course, for more news, please listen to VOA's English service, Africa News Tonight and Daybreak Africa in the morning. Thank you so much for watching us throughout the week. Good night. Have a safe and wonderful weekend. See you Monday.